Hello tie-dye fans, we're back, and today I'm going to be doing a design I call Ocean Waves. This is one that I haven't done in a long time, but I recently had a couple questions about it. So since it's summertime, it's time for some ocean waves. So what I have here is a t-shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out so it's barely damp, and I always work on the inside of the t-shirt because I use washable markers, and even though they're called washable markers, they don't always wash all the way out. So if you're going to have a stray mark, it's best to have it on the inside of the tee rather than the outside. The other thing with working on the inside, sometimes you'll have just tiny little specks of dye that don't get blended up, and if they land on the t-shirt, I guess mostly that happens with like reds, blacks, browns, stuff like that. Purples even do it, but sometimes you get those tiny little specks and they'll leave tiny little spots. Sometimes they're just very mild, and if they're very mild, then they'll stay on the inside of the t-shirt. So once again, that's another reason. So let's get started on the ocean waves. You can pretty much do this any direction you like. I always like doing them diagonal. So what I do is I'll start with a line diagonally across the tee, just to give myself a working parameter. You can also do them across the bottom, or you can do them up the side of the tee. So just wherever you like, draw your line. And then the other thing you can do is mark out a distance here if you decide how many spirals you want to have. So I'm going to do every 6 inches here across this. So I'm using my protractor, which is 6 inches long, and that's put me 5 spirals or 5 X's on the t-shirt here. So now what I'm going to do is start twisting these, and I'll just twist them up until I get about halfway in between the other one, and then you kind of have to hold this one in place and you start twisting the next one. And if you space them out a little bit more, then you'll get a bigger spiral. But this here gives you just a whole bunch of little spirals. So I'll twist that one, and then hold that in place, and you pinch and start twisting the next one. And slowly you'll just get all of these twisted until they're laying right together here. So you just kind of have to kind of manage your creases a little bit and hold them in place while you're twisting the next one. So we've got 3 of them done so far. We're going to move on to the 4th. Okay, one more. This one I might go a little bit further than my mark, just so I can have a little bit more of a spiral there. Sometimes they get bunched up a little too tight, so maybe 7 or 8 inches might be a better distance in between them. But once you have that done, then usually what I'll do is go ahead and scrunch the rest of the t-shirt. I try to hold these in place so that I don't pull any of my spiral out. So I'll wrap the rest of that up, hold those in place, and then kind of scrunch the rest of the t-shirt up. And turn this around a little bit. And as you sort your things out, like I say, I like to hold on to that while I sort my creases a little bit. And once I'm ready, then I can just scrunch that in. And then I like to use kite string for mine. And I like to start going right across the spirals, because that's the main part that you want to have in place. So this here is my 5 spirals lined up down this row here. So I'm going to start out by wrapping my my kite string around that. I hold that down and just take a little bit of the tension out. And once you have that, then you can start scrunching or tying up the rest of the t-shirt. main thing is just making sure that as you move this around that you don't pull any of your creases out here. So just be mindful of how you're tying it up. This is much easier. Back in the day when I used to do these, I was doing just rubber bands, and that could be kind of tricky as you put a rubber band on and it wanted to fold everything up on you. So this is nicer where you can kind of slowly move things around and adjust your ties how you need them and hold all your spirals in place as you take out some of that tension. Okay, we'll tie this off. And let me get some gloves and then we'll get this dyed. Okay, we're back with the ocean waves. I got my gloves on, we're ready to dye. I'm going to do this in just 2 colors. That's what I like to do. It seems to really set the design off. So right now it's hard to tell just where the center of these spirals are. So what I usually like to do is flip it over so that I can start on the back side here. And I'm just going to put a little dot right in the center of all my spirals so I can see that this here is my line that I'm going to dye along here. So what you do is just pick 2 colors. I like to use a light and a dark color just for the best effect, and then you're just going to dye, and I'll start a little bit away from that line so my dye can spread some. But I'm just going to dye the shirt in 2 colors. And we'll just go all the way along here. I'm going to dye the top and the bottom the same. Now at this point I go through and I just kind of touch up, bring both of those colors together. You can leave a white line between there, and then that will leave a white line down through your spirals also. So that's fun. This is the design you can kind of play with in different ways. So have fun with it. The other thing I've done is I'll take like maybe green or something, and I'll put green down through the middle and then dye 2 colors. Another thing you can do, I'm going to dye this one here the same top and bottom just because you can see the effect better. But another thing to play with would be to put 2 different colors on top here, and then that kind of mixes up your spirals a little bit also. So I'm going to dye along this same line here. I can kind of see through the shirt where my spirals run. So basically you're just dyeing half of the spirals one way and half another way. I have another spiral design early on that I did. I called the tidal wave, and that's where I just do one big spiral and I dye it half and half. Well, this here you're going to have a whole bunch of little waves, and that's why I call this one ocean waves and the other one tidal wave. Okay, there's the tea. I'm going to let this batch for 48 hours. I'm going to wash it, and you'll see the results in just a few seconds.